Hello, ghouls, guys, gals, and any other life forms may be streaming this broadcast. You are now listening to Storming the Unknown podcast, where we have paranormal, such as science, experts, mediums, Ouija boards, all types of creepy little stuff, UFOs, cryptids, serial killers, and dark history, all under one freaky little roof. Forget the crying in the background tonight. Baby boy is up and cranky for his teething. This is a gathering place for the morbid curiosity to come and play and learn about the deepest, darkest parts of the unknown. Join myself and special guests such as paratech makers, MUFON experts, cryptoid hunters, and segments of terrifying tales from all around the world. Delve more in depth to these subjects than you ever have before. Feast on this smorgasbord of everything supernatural. Join us now as we go storming the unknown. And tonight, my special guest is Mr. Daniel Klaes. How are you doing tonight, sir?
Doing good. How are you?
I am wonderful. I'm going to go ahead and do what we normally do every show. Give you time to kind of introduce yourself quickly to the people while I go ahead and share this on all of our other pages. And tell us anything that you find pertinent to us knowing who you are tonight.
Well, I'm just an average, normal person, just a ghost hunter, just like anybody out there, I started off on my own quest growing up in a haunted house and, was very curious of the unknown growing up. I ended up buying that house from my parents. I'd gone to Lilydale and a psychic had told me that there were children spirits living in the house. So I ended up, after buying the house, getting the deed, researching it, and finding an item up in the attic, finding out who these children spirits were in the house and help them to cross over. So it was kind of like my first Scooby-Doo episode of my life, growing up with spirits in my house. I had a quest, I just went on a lot of ghost hunts, went to Gettysburg, went on all the typical ghost tours and just kept sucking it up and learning, and then formed my own team, got our black shirts, put them on, and started investigating the paranormal. Been doing it for 12 years.
But you took it a step further, though, than most people do. And instead of just being an investigator, you invested in an actual haunted location.
This is true. And I don't know why I did that. I do know why I did it, because
it's awesome.
Well,
no, I'm just kidding. There's way more to it, but that is awesome.
If you looked at the house, the Hinsdale house at the time of purchase, you might think I'm gone crazy out of a mental asylum. I mean, it's with the amount of work that needed to be done to it, and it was. I understand why they wanted to tear it down. Nobody would live there. I mean, there was black mold all throughout the kitchen. The pipes were exploding. I mean, there were honeybees all throughout the house, living in the walls, like 500,000 of them.
So it was a complete, legit renovation. Like, just, there was no salvageable parts. And keep in mind, you didn't open this as a business initially, correct? You were just paying out of pocket to fix all of this stuff?
Yeah. I mean, it wasn't, initially my thought was, take the money that we get from tours and take the money that we get from people wanting to investigate it and reinvest it back into the location to make it better for everyone. So I've kind of made it like a community location. I don't live there. If anybody wants the opportunity to investigate it and they know what they're doing, they can have that opportunity. I don't shut it off to anyone. The money that the suggested donation, I try to keep it low for teams, so they're not paying a lot of money. I know what it's like to be on the other side. And
but by being fair like that, you get a lot of return customers, because what they're saving from not paying out the ass for that one location, they can come back to you multiple times.
And I also think that it's also a location that speaks for itself. I don't have to sell it. The people that go there, I have 4 years worth of logs from teams that have come in from 4 to 5 different countries, and they all log something happening at this location. So it's a scenario. Now, are there times where maybe teams don't get something? Very rarely, but it does happen. I mean, we all know that. It's you have to sometimes you got to spend more time at a location. but it draws you in, and it sucks you in, and it sucked me in. So I have to have a lot of,
Apparently.
yeah. I mean, I have to have a lot of help with it though. It's not something I can do by myself, and I have a great team of folks that help me out at the house, and I could see myself going crazy with it, having to go there all the time. So
If it was just you.
if it was just me, yeah.
Okay,
But
well,
luckily,
I'm sorry, go ahead.
no, I was gonna say, luckily there's a lot of people that are willing to help, that are trustworthy, and it works out. So we're not all doing the job every week and taking up all of our lives,
Because if you let it consume you, then it doesn't really become a passion anymore, rather than it is a chore. And especially a location like that like literally drains you, putting all that effort with no mix of balance would be pretty overwhelming for anyone.
Yeah, that's exactly it. I have I've been able to accomplish quite a bit in 4 years at the location, from what it looked like when I bought it to what it looks like now. You wouldn't even be able to tell. I mean, I've shown people pictures of the house, what it looked like prior, and they're like, "What house is that?" That was yellow and brown. I mean, it was trees all throughout the front yard. Overgrown grass. It was pretty bad.
Do you have any pictures by any chance of what it used to look like beforehand?
Yeah,
Anywhere? If
yeah,
you
I
do
do.
that, I can post them back into the chat, the way people can see. I mean, I'm going to put the link for the actual haunted house page, the one that you have where they can book the tours. And
Mm-hmm.
then I'll add the links for ghost finders and all that stuff at the end. So you guys can find all of this information for the Hinsdale House and for Ghost Finders show.
Yeah, if you just put in my website, danielklaes.com, all the links are actually a link to the main page.
Then I will put that in there too.
Yeah.
So many questions about both tonight. Owning a haunted location is something that I've always wanted to do. I think it's more that I just want to live in a really active place, like an old active place, especially.
Uh-huh.
So owning it, did it make you, I guess not, did it make you feel like you needed, I don't know how to phrase it without sounding like a crazy person. When you went there, did it make you feel like you needed that location? Like, what drove you at the end of the day for you to take that on? Because that's a lot.
Yeah, I mean, it was persistence of one lady by the name, they call her Mama Hinsdale. Her name's Michelle Ball. She's helped me out with the house since I've owned it, and she was doing tours and stuff there before I owned it, trying to help the team out that was trying to purchase it and renovate it prior to me buying it. And of course, personal experiences that I've had there pushed me to buy it. Like, I felt like I had a connection at that house with an entity,
Mm-hmm.
and like, it's the evidence that I captured just was like unreal to me. Like, it felt so unreal. I felt it. I just felt the energy drawing me, and it really solidified my decision to do it. Like, with my wife's blessing, of course. But it was she's always supported me in my decisions. So
Does she investigate with you?
she does on occasion. We do have 4 children, so it is sometimes difficult for her to get out. And it's funny because the last time we went up to the house, the first thing she did was get a broom and start sweeping. Like, she's like the clean freak. But she has gone on investigations with me before, and if she can go, that's awesome. Participate.
See, and I've talked multiple times to my partner about owning a haunted location or I want to open up an artifact museum. I'm just super twisted, crazy, weird shit. And he was like, no, because that thing's going to be haunted, like, because you want everything to be haunted. And no, because we're going to have to end up living there, and I'm going to have to end up working there. And no, because he doesn't do the ghost or investigation stuff, like, at all. He won't even watch my videos because he's afraid of all this stuff.
I think there's a difference between supporting and not doing it, like.
Oh, yeah, but
So.
I can't ever own a haunted location now because he tells me we can't.
You never know. Things
That's
could
what
change.
he doesn't have to come. He's tripping. I'm going to go ahead and catch up in comments real quick, and then we'll get on to the rest of it because there's a lot that I've missed so far. Hey, Vicky. Hello, Steve. Hi, Deb. Scott says, hey, Daniel, buddy.
Hey, what's up, man?
Good evening, Steve White, Flora, everybody else. If I missed you, I am sorry, but I'm pretty sure I caught up on everything. I don't see everybody who's actually watching because I can't watch the viewers live from StreamYard.
Yeah.
But hello, everybody in the comments. Hi, Kenny. He's actually going to be on my show in about 3 weeks, I believe.
Awesome.
That's going to be fun, yes, because I like being able to cover the cryptid and UFO part of the paranormal too, so that'll be fun to switch it up a little bit. Scott said, I captured a person in the front window the night I investigated the house. Dan has a picture because I told him to share any experiences that they've had.
And that's the thing, like Scott has that story, and anytime somebody mentions the Hinsdale house, he has that story to tell. And people that go to the house have similar stories
of capturing the same entity in front of.
Capturing that entity in the window, capturing shadow figures, spirits in white out by the pond, Indian, spirits, entities. I mean, it's different every time you go.
That was another thing I wanted to touch on, so I guess we'll just get to that since you brought it up. But the land itself, because I've watched a lot of the live investigations that people do from Paranormal Warehouse. They seem to be out there a lot, and working with them at the American Ghost Hunter show, like it pops up all the time when people are doing live feeds. And outside seems to be a big factor for everybody. Why is that? Near the pond specifically.
Yeah, and I have theories. I mean, they're right when all shit hit the fan in the 1970s. That's right when the land was purchased and the house was purchased. It was in 1969. The lady that purchased the land, it was originally 100 acres, sub-parceled it out into like 10-acre plots, and then dug ponds on all the properties. And that's kind of when things started to happen. So I feel like when that pond was dug, things started happening on the outside and inside of the house. And I feel like there could have possibly been something that was unearthed or something that was disturbed that nobody knows about at this point.
Because when it was dug up, was it just done with like a backhoe? I mean, nobody's looking for anything, so they're not going to be like sifting through what they find, just kind of taking and dumping.
That would be the hopes, But then you have Clara Dandy writing about in her book in the 70s that the dog would come back with looked like a human femur bone.
And that's the lady who bought the house, correct? They built that house, the Dandies. Yeah. Now, did you buy it from them?
No. So basically, the lady that purchased the house in 1969, the Reese family, they do land leases, and you basically lease the property from them for 30 years at a high interest rate, and nobody from 1969 until I purchased it was actually able to pay the house off, in those 30 years, because I paid it off in 4, just trying to make extra payments because the insurance the interest was crazy on it. So a lot of times people didn't have enough time to stay. Some stayed only for a couple months and just left, and the house just continuously kept going back to them. And then they kept trying to rerun the land lease out, or to the point where nobody wanted it anymore because it was such a decrepit state. Nobody wanted to live there.
And somebody in the comments is saying, it's Steve again, I believe. There's a lot of Native American spirits outside the house, and in I think both the last episodes I had actually, we talked a lot about how the Native American energy and investigations definitely makes for a completely different ballgame than when you're just dealing with like a regular active location. That energy is so much more powerful, it feels like. And I think it's because, of their beliefs of everything being one, one with nature, with your body, everything flows back into each other. And
Yeah.
that's why those areas are so strong. Now, in that particular area, did you guys have a lot of the settlements and a lot of the Native American tribes in that area before they were made to
Yeah, I
move?
mean, we've been tracing it down. The mound builders are the current Indian settlement that's there now weren't mound builders.
Mm-hmm.
So we kept tracing it back and tracing it back to see approximately what the last mound builder Indians were, and they were called the Renway Indian tribe.
Mm-hmm.
I'm not sure if I'm pronouncing it correctly, but that's the name of the tribe that possibly lived on the hill. I mean, the anybody that's been there knows that this house is on top of a hill in the middle of nowhere with a water source. So it's an
Mm-hmm.
ideal location for anybody that would want to settle down, or have a settlement of some kind. When you have a water source and you can see what's happening down below you, see if anybody's coming. So, I mean, we have found artifacts on the property. When we were digging a septic system, we had found some arrowheads in the ground, which I have on display in the house. We had, I think, about 11 of them total. So it was pretty cool to find something like that.
And that's brave. I
Well,
I know it's not like disrespectful, but just because of mm, how intense, I guess, the
well,
situations I've been in with the Native American energy type things, I would just never keep anything I
we
found of
do.
theirs.
We
'Cause,
try to do a lot of healing on the property and a lot of piece work with the spirits that are there, on the outside of the house and the inside of the house. I feel like the energy is different than when I first bought it. I
mhm.
feel like, is there still something of a bastard of a spirit there? Absolutely. I don't know that they've tried to get rid of it for years. But we, as with the knowledge that we have now, are able to stay grounded and deal with that when it decides it wants to try to lash out. But on the outside of the property, I feel like we're making a connection with the land and the earth and the entities on the property, because I've had shamans out, I have healers coming out all the time, and I also leave tobacco there for the teams, and tell them that they can leave gifts for the Native American spirits that are on the property, and it's actually becoming quite the spectacle up on the top of the mountain. If you walk up the hill on the back of the house, people, during some of the overnight events, will make feathers and leave feathers dangling from the tree, or shells, or bring little items as peace offerings to the spirits there. And I feel like they're allowing our kind of realms to cross together and communicate now a little bit better, as we're doing that more and more often.
And that is one of the topics that I had touched on with Joe Vitale
Mm-hmm.
a few weeks ago, because too often when we go into these places, we're just focused on getting the evidence part of it. But to become, I guess, kind of like emotionally attached to helping whatever we encounter either move on or grow, because sometimes they can't move on. You can help them. It's weird, but it sounds crazy, but you can help them become better people or help ease the pain a little bit. And
Yeah, and that's what we're trying to do.
hearing that that's what you guys do, I never knew that. That's a beautiful thing, especially
It
with Native
seems
American spirits, because they do take to that respect kind of that you show for them and the land. The more you give into the land, you're being one with it, as they would believe.
Yeah, and I think that we're showing respect to the energies that are there. And it also brings up a lot of other things, because now we're getting more and more, it seems like, pictures of these different colored lights that are coming out of the forest. There are a lot of people, like in the past year, have been catching, which a lot of people say are elementals coming. So I don't know. Like, I've seen the pictures. There's blue, there's yellow, there's green, and this is in the dark. They're catching these little light orbs in different sizes, different shapes, in the forest. And we've caught a cryptid on Jeff Fent, I'm sure you're familiar with him.
Mm-hmm.
He's captured an amazing picture of something that we believe is a cryptid or a pukwudgie of some kind.
Is that on the website? Because I
Mm-hmm.
know I see on the website you actually have a lot of the evidence that people have captured there posted. So the cryptid one is there too?
Yeah, I believe so. And if it's
Okay.
not, it's on the Hinsdale Facebook page for sure. If you go
Okay.
to the Hinsdale page.
And I'm going to share all that right now, guys. That way I don't forget at the end. But you can actually go and click on these links and it'll show you everything from the booking schedules that they have available at the Hinsdale House. I'll be posting the Ghost Finders links as well. But you can go and see all of the actual evidence that people have caught at the Hinsdale House on the webpage. They have a lot. And then I guess on the Facebook page, you guys would have way more.
Yeah. Easily to post to social media.
Yeah. It doesn't have as many restrictions file-wise.
Exactly.
So another question, because you said that they had an exorcism
More than one.
performed, more than one, and was
Yeah.
it in that same time range though, in the mid 70s? Was
No,
it like consecutive?
the first exorcism in 1970, I believe it was, no, I don't want to get the date, but it was 1973. They performed a structural exorcism of the location, trying to rid the location of negative spirits that were there.
Mm-hmm.
So it was more like banishment, or performed by the Catholic Church.
Mm-hmm.
They came out and did this exorcism. They said that while they were all kneeling in the living room, the family and the priest and a psychic by the name of Alex Tanis, and there was also a film crew there from New York City, from the film school in New York City, and when they read the exorcism of the house, they said the whole house shook, and it was cleared in about 3 seconds, and it was I can't even imagine, being involved with something like that. It's crazy. But then it didn't work, and then basically the priest, after this started, kept lashing out to them, told them, my best advice is that they have to leave. They need to leave now before it gets them.
Mm-hmm.
It did, and I'll tell you what, the owner to this day believes that the house is still after them. I think she blames the death of her son on the house, and I don't want to dive into their personal matters,
Yeah.
but part of what I want to do for them is to be able to give her answers. She's still alive. She's living in Oregon. She's dealt with this her whole life and still doesn't know why or how or what happened here. And if I can give her any type of peace of mind, it's something that I want to do. I mean, that's my goal. This is her story. This is something that she had to live with for 4 years.
Mm-hmm.
And I know she loves the property. There's things she loves about it, and there's things she hates about it. It's a love-hate world for her in the location.
Yeah, but especially when you're dealing with those types of energies that, like I said, when in the beginning, if it's an emotional connection that you have with the location, if something pulls you in enough, because it can attach to you like mentally in that way. Even if it's bad for you, you keep going back for it like bacon.
Right.
They tell me it's bad all they want, but I'm still gonna eat it. So I completely understand that though, because I've been in a lot of locations too, because I do a lot of private residential investigations, just helping people who end up having troubles. A lot of times it's businesses. A lot of times it's like an older business building in one of the more remote locations of Texas, which they're getting fewer and fewer nowadays. But they constantly say how either they've had something really bad happen and they wish they could just leave this place, but they can't. Like they've come back to it time and time again, type stuff, like generations of people in some instances. And so to know that it's detrimental to you, but to still go back, it has to be a very profound and alert type of energy that you're dealing with to make you feel like that, even when you're, hundreds and thousands of miles away from it.
Yeah, absolutely.
We have a few questions here already, and I'm going to get to them. That way they don't get lost in all the comments tonight. But Darin said, See, they're already getting buried. You said, what do you think needs to change in the paranormal field?
Well, it's tough. It's because everybody's going to have, a lot of people are grounded in different ways, and I just think there has to be compassion for everyone. There has to be compassion for everybody's beliefs, what they believe, and maybe what you believe may differ, but the end goal is the same, and I think that's the most important thing. Not what's the right way, what's the wrong way. This person's not a psychic, this person is a psychic, this person, it's like, I think people just have to be more compassionate about the whole field, and I think that would help mend a lot of heartache for a lot of people. Because I think there's a lot of people that are interested in it, and I think there's a lot of people that try to push those people away for some reason, and I don't know why. I try to embrace everyone and make them feel welcome, and because you just never know what that person can bring to the table. You never know what they can do for the field, and push people away because they're not experienced. Well, you have to start somewhere. And why not learn from somebody that's been doing it for years? Maybe you'll learn something yourself from that person, and maybe they'll think of something that you never did. And it's just, that's basically what I feel like, just compassion for everyone.
That was actually a beautiful way to put it, because I usually say the same thing just with a lot more curse words because it gets me so frustrated.
I have a
But
lot of patience, so I try to have patience with everybody and hear things out, and try to build a bridge if you can. That's the best way to do it.
I completely agree. It's just kind of like you said, if somebody hasn't been doing it for a long time, or again, if they just think or investigate in a different way than you, because everybody has their preferences, but they're automatically wrong because it's not the way that they do it. And unless we're trying everything, which means every little twist or turn to somebody else's technique, you know what I'm saying? Build upon that and communicate with each other. I spoke about that with Joe, I think in even our first episode that we had done together a while back, was if we're not constantly learning, then we're hindering like how far we can go. So if we're just sticking to, no, we do it this way, so we're going to keep doing it this way, you're never going to be able to get as much as you could from that experience. Like hindering yourself from experiencing the coolest shit. And like you said, if somebody that we don't know ends up becoming, the next person to invent something similar
Sure.
to one of Tesla's, machines, as closely built to that, but we don't want to do it because he hasn't been investigating long. Like there's so much we could
I
do
think
by
that,
now.
and like any team or any individual from starter to experienced person that have come to the Hinsdale House, I try to feel like we're all on the same playing field. I try to make everybody feel like we're a family and that we're a team, that we're one big team. And that's kind of the mentality that we have to have in order to get farther. And I feel like the Hinsdale House is a good representation of what having a good team can do for the paranormal field, because this was a location that was going to be torn down. And within 4 years, with support from people like you, people from all around the country, coming there and feeling like they're part of it, has helped to restore it back to kind of almost its glory. I mean, we're getting there, but it's a lot better place than it was before, and it's open for everybody to investigate at any time. Nobody lives there, so I mean, it's open.
Like you said, how you've made it like a family. I've been following you for a while and following things that go on there, and it's like it's a little community pretty much. Like you have people who will continue to donate either furniture or pieces that you might need for it, helping whenever you need renovations or you need some type of work done or
Sure.
any type of repairs. And that's like kind of what Adam Kimmel did with building Madison Seminary. Now he has the infirmary that he just bought as well. You have all these people.
He was one of the ones that I kind of, as I was learning the business, he was kind of, I on a whim drove out to Randolph County Infirmary when he was involved with that location, and he was having a Ghost Hunt USA event that night, and I wanted to meet Amy Perry Lane because she was going to actually be doing events at the Hinsdale House. I wanted to see how she ran events. and I met him there, and I just felt what he was doing with the community, and being involved with his con, and just seeing how people came together to help raise money. He's doing it the right way, and I applaud him for what he's doing to save the locations.
He literally has an entire army.
Yeah, and it's not the army. It's not that he's building an army. He's making people feel a part of it. Like, it's not just him. It's not like him putting himself on a pedestal. Anybody can join that pedestal and be part of the team, and be just as much proud of the location that he can be. And
exactly. It's not about the recognition. It's
nope.
you're kind of, the feedback is kind of happening now.
Oh, is it?
Just so you know, yeah. But it's about preserving the history first and foremost. It's not about fame, popularity. And like I said, you have people from all over the country coming in to help when he calls for action, and what you did with making sure that, I guess it just wasn't a tourist attraction, because there are a lot of places that run it like that it's just kind of like a playground for people to come and do whatever they want, but not be held responsible, I guess, for the way that they treat the location. I was just actually reading about another location. I don't remember exactly where it was, but they actually have it in one of their waivers that you have to sign when you investigate, that you're not allowed to bring Ouija boards, you're not allowed to use certain rites or rituals and devices. Do you have any rules for people who come and investigate at the Hinsdale House?
No. I feel like it showing respect to people. So if somebody is well versed in using a Ouija board, and they know what they're doing, and that's the type of communication tool that they want to use to try to communicate with something, then I allow them to do it, as long as they know how to open and close. They know, as long as they know what they're doing. So I don't really put any restrictions on it, because the house has so much eclectic history. I don't care if it's a Buddhist ritual. I don't care if it's a Catholic ritual. You never know what's going to get you a different piece of evidence that may hold the key to unlocking something. So I'm pretty open about
that. Give me 1 second. I'm trying to answer back all these questions because okay. So the Ouija board thing, you brought up a good point. If somebody knows how to use it, because there's also a very big misconception when it comes to Ouija boards, that it's just pure evil, that, you'll bring forth every demonic presence within a 5-mile radius if you ever try and use one. There's so much more to it, that being open-minded the way you are, because you understand the full extent of its uses, I can understand why you wouldn't have that rule, because again, though, it sounds like you have people who come in and aren't the type that try and cause trouble. The kind of group that goes out there and everything's a demon, come forth and attack me, give me.
No, I think that most of the time in the paranormal community, people that are really involved with it, really care about it, aren't like that.
Nope.
And teams that are paying to investigate a location care more about the location than they care about any, just having a crazy night out or breaking into a location. It's more respect, and most of the people that I meet out there are respectful. I haven't had an issue. I haven't had an issue with the team ever. In all the years that I've owned this location, where it's been a disrespectful thing, where somebody's stolen something out of the house, none of that stuff. So I when I first bought the house, I had to make gates for the windows and the doors, so that to stop people from breaking in, because it's out in the middle of nowhere. And I think once I did that, once the police and the sheriff's department and the local government got involved and knew that this was I mean, it is a business, I know that's kind of taboo, but it's a tourist attraction for Cattaraugus County. It draws people in from different states, different countries, to not only to go to the Hinsdale House, but stay at a hotel, eat at restaurants locally, and get to see the area, what it has to offer. And the local government picked up on that, and they participated in promoting it and helping the the whole aspect of the location itself and the history. So it can, if you do it the right way, it can benefit the local, the
local
township.
economy.
Yeah.
Ooh, that feedback is gnarly. That makes a lot of sense. So it's kind of like dark tourism almost. But what you're really bringing in is just, those curious minds, whether it be like during the day or getting people who, like you said, just aren't there for a thrill or a scare, because nobody's going to want to sit in a for real haunted house overnight if they're just a guest pass through town, but it's nice to look at.
Sure.
Darin said, is there a Slender Man type ghost at the Hinsdale? I heard it likes to mess with people's cars.
We've caught pictures of it on the outside. Many teams have. And we've had not a lot of situations with cars, but we have had some, but I don't know. You could really sum that up to car troubles or people not knowing how to drive if you really wanted to. I don't know if I want to blame it on the shadow figure, the skinny shadow figure that everybody catches.
The Slender Man description is what gets me.
I mean, it's a shadow figure. And there's clear pictures of it. We've caught it inside the house and outside the house, and it's on the page for you. If you want to see it. But I don't.
No, he just creeps me out.
I don't like to put the blame on, like, this spirit is causing this to happen, or if we don't know yet. I don't know what it's there for, or if it's causing issues or problems for people, or I mean, this lady's backing out of the driveway and takes a 90-degree, she turns her wheel before she even gets to the end of the driveway and drives her car into the ditch. I mean, is that a spirit making her do that, or does she just not know how to drive?
Probably the latter.
Yeah. So, I mean, I don't want people putting specifics on the entity that's there, or putting a blame on them if we don't even know who they are or what they're there for.
I like that answer. We have a lot of questions, so I'm going to go ahead and ask those. That way we can get to the other ones about ghost finders and the last few questions about the Hinsdale house I had for you.
Sure.
Justin White said, just a thought, what if you were to build a teepee, which is not hard to do, and people can leave respect to the Native Americans that were possibly there at one time? LOL. Only a thought, but this would for sure add to the location. It would be paying respects at the same time again. Just a thought.
Yeah, I mean, that is a great idea. And the thing is we didn't build a teepee, but we built like we call it the giving tree up on the top of the hill. And if you watch some of the videos now, you'll look at it and you'll be like, whoa, this is crazy, because there's probably 400 beads or feathers hanging from the branches of this tree dangling in the wind. And then you'll have like shells, and even, people even leave like statues of Mary or different belief systems underneath the tree. And it's just become like a gift. There's gifts underneath. Feathers and beads hanging from it all over, and anybody that comes there, I recommend maybe bringing an offering to help mend the roads.
I do that at every location I go to. I try and research as much about either the people who had lived there, what kind of belief systems or cultures they had before, and bring little gifts. Or like when I did the Bonnie and Clyde Museum, I brought cigarettes, a comb, and mousse for Clyde, and I bought a Bonnie lipstick, a bracelet, and a flower, like a little fake flower.
Yeah.
And
cool.
The bracelet that I ended up getting for her actually matched one of the sets they had of her jewelry inside the museum, like matched the necklace set perfectly. And it wasn't until after I gave them those gifts that, they started kind of like being more active. I even heard I got a full like EVP sweep on both the spirit box, and it showed up like on my recorder that it's a male's voice coming through and saying thank you. Like, I guess like I have to be nice.
Yeah.
Just like thank you after I put them out. So that was pretty cool. So I always bring gifts. Trigger objects are awesome.
Yeah, people have made jewelry. I forgot about that too. There's jewelry hanging from the tree, necklaces, bracelet. I mean, you name it. People have thought to bring it. That's cool. It looks cool. So I guess that's kind of like our teepee up on the top of the hill,
It's your shrine, your respects to them. Eddie Pence, hello. Jeff said, how are you doing tonight from the goat?
What's up, goat?
Anything new going on? Do you have anything new going on for
Well,
the Hinsdale House?
The Hinsdale House, right now we're putting new windows in, and we got the whole upper floor done. The lower floor hopefully will be done by spring. A lot of it's been through donation. You know, like I have a Patreon page where people can, you know, if they want to get firsthand knowledge of what's going on at the house or feel like they're part of it or make decisions on what we're going to be doing. They're like my backbone, and people donate like anywhere from $1 to $250 a month to help with, you know, mowing the lawn, just general upkeep of the property or whatever we need to do there. And what I've been doing is taking what we've been getting in donations and putting that towards the windows, because the windows are single plain old farmhouse windows.
And it gets pretty cold up there.
It does. We also this winter installed a new heater in the kitchen, so we have a new heater in the kitchen as well. So and we did all the insulation underneath the house. That was all bare wood. So now we have blown insulation underneath the living room and the bedroom, and I'm sorry, the kitchen and the bedroom, and then underneath the living room is all laid out insulation. So that's helped with energy cost a lot over the winter.
So that's what's going on. That's new.
That's new. That's new, goat.
Darin says, what is your favorite urban legend?
It's cool because some of the urban legends that we had at the house, we've been able to debunk or find truth to them. I can let you know this, that in last summer we had 2 weeks of filming. We filmed with Nick Groff, and we filmed a new show that's going to be coming out called Dead Remains. And we were actually able to do some of the things that doing a normal investigation that you and I or a normal team wouldn't be able to afford to do or take part in. Like, for instance, bringing in an underwater paranormal investigator to dive the pond and do a forensic search of the pond. Bring in ground penetrating radar specialist and check out an acre of the property to see if there's any dead bodies or bones or anything buried that would give truth to some of the folklore of the house. So when that comes out, I think people are going to be wowed by some of the things that we found.
Because it's more of a scientific backing in the evidence that you find. Because that's the only way it can really be solid is through scientific experiment and theory, and that's as close as you can get to irrefutable proof and evidence.
But I love, I love the story of the stagecoach trail. The legend has it is that the stagecoaches would roll through the hills of Hinsdale and then come up the mountain and use the Hinsdale House as a rest stop for the weary, and then the two gentlemen that lived there would murder or rape and kill the people that were coming in and staying on the stagecoach, and then they would hold their bodies in the basement and bury them out on the hills after the winter thaw. And we've had a lot of looking at all the old maps. The actual stagecoach route did not go up the hill. Could some have wandered up there? Sure. But there's also, I had Dan O'Brien, whose family lived in the house for almost 80 years, a couple of years ago, come up to the house, and the first thing he said to me, he goes, "Where'd the rest of the road go?" I said, "Well, what do you mean?" He goes, "Well, the stagecoaches used to come through here." And I go, "Really?" So it just kind of adds to the whole mystique of the whole thing. We've gotten EVP saying, "I'm dead, I'm buried, find me in the basement, help," stuff like that. And you look at the way that the house was built, and there's so many different theories. So the house was built in 2 stages. When you go up the stairs, people that have gone there, they see there's 2 lips on the stairs, and I think, why are those lips there? Why are those lips there? And, could it be that they put a board down and locked it down and kept people locked up there, so they couldn't get out, because that's the only way in and out of the upstairs. Just so many things run rampant through your head. when there's a folklore, but that still have to make sure you let people know it's folklore and not really, there's no way to really prove anything at this point, and I don't want to paint the two gentlemen that built the house as murderers, because I don't know that for a fact. And that in researching them, they seem like law-abiding citizens and were iron workers. So I don't know. It's there's like little bits and pieces of the story, and it's.
But when you have so many coincidences like that, it's easy for your mind to just go like,
it is.
Oh my God, he was a modern day Sweeney Todd.
Exactly.
Dumping bodies in the basement. Let's see. Lori said, "I'm new here. This is very interesting. Thank you for joining us tonight, Lori." Justin Brown says, "Does Daniel still do residential investigations?"
I do. Not as many as I used to. But we get, my team, Greater Western New York Paranormal Society, which is still active. We get many requests every week for residential cases. We're going to be doing one right now. We're working on one right now that we just got sent over to us. If it's not something that we can handle as a team, we have enough good teams here locally that we send them to to help people. So we have a good network of people here that we will help out.
So yes, but would they have to get in touch with your team then instead of just your personal page?
No.
Do you guys have a Facebook page?
We do. Greater Western New York Paranormal Society. Yep.
Okay. I'll go ahead and post that in the links as well then.
GWNYPS for short.
All right, get that pulled up. There we go.
That's also my main page too. So.
I have to go and keep in touch with all my friends. Hi, Mike from Jeff. Mike Simpson said, Ouija board is just another tool. I don't use one, but that's my choice. Yeah, I mean, as long as you're not being disrespectful or irresponsible about it, it actually
here's what I think. I think Mike Simpson needs to do at a location, since he's such a good karaoke singer. I think that he should utilize that at an investigation, helping to raise the vibrations of the location by bringing a karaoke machine and singing at the location.
Music is a huge trigger object.
I know.
Found
I'm
in most
surprised
places.
that Mike doesn't do that more often. I mean, he can sing like Frank Sinatra. I've listened to some of his karaoke on his Facebook page.
See, there you go, Mike. You got to go singing. Maybe not a Ouija board, but little karaoke machine. I'm pretty sure they even have apps for that on your phone now, so you're good to go.
There you
go. Erin said, dowsing rods are cool. What do you think about those, Daniel?
Again, I mean, it's what I feel like. Investigators that utilize certain tools over and over and over again really come accustomed to them using them, and I've seen them work. I've seen them work for people. It's not a tool that I use, but I see people that use them all the time. I know like Madison uses them all the time, and she's coming out to the house on May 20th. That's a tool that she's learned how to utilize, and it works for her. So, I've used them before, and I've had them work for me before. So I'm not against any type of tool if it's something that you feel comfortable using and that you get good responses. So.
Yeah, and especially if you have more equipment to utilize, you have more ways of thoroughly checking. Like if you have 4 different types of equipment, whether it be an EMF detector, it be kind of like one of the Paranologies devices where it's the electroscopes and stuff, so you have the actual friction or static charge from an energy touching it, making it light up at the same time where you're getting something over EVP audio, and at the same time the dowsing rods are going off. Exactly. It's more than just coincidence if you have all of these things happening and like with an intelligent response. Like the more you have to check your work, pretty much the better. I like the glowing ones that Madison has.
Yeah, those are cool.
Those are pretty awesome. She's going to be on Into the Abyss this week, I do believe, with Sean and Zarina. Great. I think that's Thursday or Friday, but she'll be on a show with them. Darin says, what's your favorite trigger object to use in the Hinsdale house?
I have a couple of objects that were original to the house
Mm-hmm.
that were returned back to the house after uh, it was basically ransacked, and people took things from the house and actually started bringing some back. So I have like Mike. I have one of Mike Dandy's toys that we can utilize. I have the Native American arrowheads are good. I have the chalice that the priest used to do the exorcism. I have that in a display case that if teams wanted to use that, they could utilize that as a trigger object. So I have a lot of cool stuff that I'm going to actually put into the museum when that gets built at the house.
That is pretty cool. It's like having your own little arsenal to
Yeah, I
use
mean
for
that's the
trigger
whole.
objects.
I'm turning this into like a paranormal investigator's dream thing now. Like these are my dreams. Like this would be like so cool to have a whole like a base camp built. That's like
Mm-hmm.
a cabin with the back room being an inventory of paper and news clippings and trigger objects that we could use that would maybe get us more evidence, which teams will have access to all of that when it's all said and done.
That sounds like my dream come true. See, but it's being empathetic to what you would want, so why not give
Yeah,
it to everybody else too?
exactly.
We're setting up a paranormal haven. So you have lots of trigger objects, and they're all available for our use. Steve White said something you might look into called dowsing for graves. The theory behind this is doing this. It lets you find lost graves.
The gentleman that came into the radar, was doing prodding. He was prodding like for soft dirt and hard dirt, and utilizing that technique.
Did he never found anything, I'm assuming, so far?
I can't tell you. He may have.
Oh
You
no.
have to wait till Dead Remains comes out.
Ay, Dios mío. When does that drop again?
I don't know yet. It's getting
Oh,
finished. It's in production right now, but
you gotta be kidding me, Daniel. It sounds interesting. Like that would be my type of show. I don't really watch the shows anymore. I watch the new Ghost Hunters just because, again, they're more scientifically focused, and I
they're
actually
our
have
buddies.
Brandon. Yeah,
These are
that
all of
too.
our buddies that are just on the show now. It's cool.
That's really weird. Seeing Daryl's big bearded face up on the screen still gets me because I
It's
remember.
funny. I remember being on Daryl's show before they were on Paranormal Warehouse, and I helped them to get on the show on Warehouse, and just to see how it's just cool. You just never know what can happen when you take chances. So it's
No,
awesome.
because I'm used to when I do my lives, his big bushy face being on the other side of the screen while him and Alex, being the commentators for whenever I do my live streams for them when we do their live stream shows. And now I look over and it's just the British guy. We're just doing the American Ghost Hunter show with the British guy when we do co-hosts. So,
That's
but
all
I
right.
love Alex. Alex and Helena are the
He still
best.
makes cameos, every now and then. So
Yeah, but we always get that question over on live streams for American Ghost Hunter shows, like, why is it called the American Ghost Hunter show? But you guys got the British guy. That one cracks me up all the time. There's always at least one person that asks every single time. Mike Simpson said, Daniel, what's the most intense or uncomfortable moment during an investigation and where at?
probably, I always refer back to closer to the beginning of my career investigating. It was probably the first time I ever saw a shadow figure with my own eyes. I was at a theater in North Tonawanda, New York, called the Riviera Theater, and we had all the gadgets, anything that you could think of, and the rest of the team was out on the stage, and we were trying to recreate like this the audience like clapping, come on out and bow type thing, and had K2 meters lined up on the stage, and we were watching them go off and on as we were telling people to come out and bow. And I wanted to kind of just spend some alone time up in the mezzanine, and I was sitting at the baby grand piano, and we had the laser grid going, we had our static cameras going, and I saw this black mass pop out of the wall, and it was tall. I mean, it was just massive, and the laser lights were not penetrating it. It was and it was gliding towards me, and I was like, I took one last breath, and I couldn't breathe. I was just so scary, and I remember it being like a foot away from me, and then it glided into the projection room, where they would have put the reel to reel. And I just remember trying to catch my breath, and it didn't even do anything to me. It just freaked me out. And I remember getting up and running down the stairs like a big baby, running out of the building and telling my team what happened. And I remember my co-founders said, get the camera, we got to get his reaction, and it's like, and I was freaking out outside. It took me at least almost an hour probably to even go back in the building. But Louis, our photographer on the team, he went up there and he started plastering pictures, and we ended up catching a picture of it, like on the balcony, like it was looking to see what we were doing. And we have this, it's up on the Greater Western New York Paranormal Society Evidence Locker page, if you look at our photos, and it just looks like this creepy figure looking down on us. And it's like, wow. So I really saw that with my own eyes, and it's just,
to have that validation.
Now I see a shadow figure. I'm like, hey, wait up, and I run towards it. But when you first experience things, when you first start doing this stuff, you get what you ask for sometimes, and
yes,
I wanted. But once I got it, I was like, yellow spine down my back.
Oh, see, but those are great. I love those types of moments. And I love when those moments happen with people who have never been before. I love being there for somebody's first oh shit moment.
Yeah.
That look on their face is the most spectacular thing. I feel like a kid in a candy store when I'm like, see, I'm not crazy. I fucking told you.
Can this white boy get any whiter? Yes, I could.
There are several different shades lighter than this. Let's see. John Harris said, we've booked the Hinsdale. Can you touch on the Native American history there?
It's like I said, we have it dated back to the 1700s with the Renway Indians. And we believe that was the tribe that was there. That would have been the mound builders that are indicative to the area at the time. So I would look into that tribe and maybe some of their culture and some of what they do. If you want to try to give offerings to the energies that are there, or try to maybe cross your paths on the outside of the house, I would look up the Renway Indians.
Let's see. Mike Simpson said he has sung at locations. Daniel is too funny. Andrew Hilton said, I've gotten a few responses from doing just that, but I was just goofing off and not looking for a response. I think he's talking about his dowsing rods, because he just made a pair. He made a homemade pair of glow-in-the-dark ones. He took like regular ass dowsing rods and did like glow-in-the-dark paint.
Cool.
And did his own. Darin says, we are made of energy and spirits feed off of that. So what happened? We drink, if we drink energy drinks or eat energy bars and our energy is heightened, do you think that can cause more interaction with the spirits?
I do. I think the more energy that you put into a location, the more knowledge that you have. It really comes down to how you feel about it. Are you going to get a response? How much you put into it. Adding energy to the location doesn't hurt. So we're definitely pieces of energy, and I've seen a difference. So like when we do a tour, as opposed to when I'm there alone, it seems like when there's more bodies there, you seem to get more.
Because they have more batteries to feed off of.
Exactly.
The spirits are energies themselves, and you have to keep in mind of some of them, especially when you go into like the much older locations. Sometimes you find the ones who have either kind of honed the skill of using very minimal energy drawing from us, or just natural occurrences that may be happening in the ground surrounding it, or in the location itself, like limestone buildings and stuff, like stone tape theory. It's just all
Sure.
energy captured within types of elements, but they feed off of it, both negative and positive. And the times where you're at a location where you might not have, if you're an asshole in life, you're going to be an asshole in death. So just because a spirit's particularly like mean and nasty doesn't mean it's a demon at all. It's not demonic. It's just somebody being a butthole because they were a butthole in life. And they feed off of that negative energy. Like I've been in locations with, one of my other investigators in a bad mood. And that experience was much different than the first and third time when we went, when he was in a perfectly fine mood. All ranges of energy is what we put back and we leave in these places.
Mm-hmm.
We leave, but our energy is permanently left
I was just
in
having
these
a
locations.
conversation. I was just having a conversation with Jack Kenna. Are you familiar with him?
Yes.
Okay, so I was just having a conversation with him at Rochester Parafest this weekend, and thinking about like when people go to the Hinsdale House, they get what they want. Like I think about, so if you're going there wanting to speak to XYZ spirit and everybody's focusing on that, it's giving you what you want. Like like the house may be its own entity. And Greg and Dana Newkirk did some experimenting with that whole thing when they were there with Haunt Me and filming for Haunt Me.
Uh-huh.
And they said, we don't want to speak to spirits. We don't want to speak to we want to speak to the house. And they did EVP recordings asking to speak to the house. And they said, what do you want from people when they come here? And the response was energy. Like it's like they're leaving it. Are they leaving me alone because I'm bringing all these people here? Or is the house getting what it wants? Like there's so many like different things to think about,
That way of thinking, though, that mind track is not so far off, because whether it be the good energy or the negative energy, because it doesn't seem like that house is evil at all, not from what people have said or anything. There's nothing like
just active.
Yeah, exactly. But there are locations like the asylum I did in Broken Bow. Well, this place is just nothing but pure evil. Like, before I even started my investigation there, we were actually clearing out the building because it was in an area of Oklahoma that was very seedy, and lots of drug users would break in and just kind of like try and sleep in there, because it was only open in October for a haunted house. It was an old asylum, an old nursery, an old school, an old hospital, like mini wing hospital, in this little off the beat path part of Oklahoma. Lots of different things had gone through there. And before this gentleman bought it to open it as a haunted house for October, and I think actually in September for a little bit, but they tried to build a church inside of it. And not only did the entire crew working on this place just get up and leave one day, the pastor himself said he would never come back there because he's never seen such evil. Like, he was getting scratched. He was getting, like, somebody would be screaming, like, get out, like, crazy threats, all this type of stuff. So as he's telling me the story about the area where the construction workers were doing work, and then everything just kind of like fell on top of them, all of a sudden from right behind us, you hear something get thrown. And it felt like somebody was just right behind you the entire time, like breathing down your neck. You could actually like feel the breath coming down your neck. And when I was in there for my second round of investigation, because I go in multiple times with all the equipment and get base readings for everything to see if anything fluctuates later in the night when we're getting activity in certain places, all of a sudden you see not only something else get thrown, but see this like shadow go straight across. He pulled out his gun because he thought, it's just another crackhead running through the part of the asylum that we haven't put together yet. We checked every single room down there, and there was absolutely nobody. And when you saw the shadow, you heard the running, like you heard footsteps, like fast footsteps going into the hallway. And then by the end of the night, I was like, all you're doing is, he gets so excited when people come in when it's not October, because you only feed him energy once a month. Once a year in a month's entirety. But think of it, it's a horror house. It's like one of the scariest horror houses that they have set up in South Oklahoma and that whole region. Like, it actually wins awards for being so fucked up. And he's feeding off of that fear constantly. He loves that. He was trying the whole night to fuck with me and make me scared. Like, you could feel that he wanted that type of energy from me instead of like the peaceful energy that I normally have. And I'm always by myself. So, I was sitting there, something gets thrown across the room on my laser grid. Something legit like blocks out half of the laser grid. And I have one of Jeremy Jones, the periscope. Not the periscope, the electroscope thing.
Yeah.
The laser grid. And it blocked out half of that, and I'd never seen this device do that before. Like, it's never had responses on that device before. And then when I was leaving, I got the EVP of feed me more. Yes.
Feed me more.
Feed me more. And I always wonder, like, was he just hungry? Like, I don't know. I don't know what you were talking about, but I could tell it was that particular energy that just legit sat there and followed me the whole time, trying to scare the shit out of me.
You know who Ryback is, the wrestler?
No.
The one that goes, feed me more.
No.
Some people.
Is he a new wrestler?
No, he's been around for a while.
Oh, I haven't watched it since The Rock left. But yeah, I mean, they love our energy. We are legit batteries. We're living, breathing human batteries for them. And what we feed into these places can either make it beautiful and soft and gentle, or it can make it just fucking terrifying, like that asylum is. Like, I've never been scared, but I was to the point where I was like, all right, I might need somebody with me next time I go, because being in this place all alone. And on the live stream, though, you could actually hear the breath, because while I was talking, you hear a breath come through and go, like, real fucking loud. And Alex was like, is there somebody else in there with you? It's like, no, why? Because I just heard a breath. I'm like, because he's sitting behind me breathing down my neck. Like, that's why you hear this hot ass breath all over my neck. Mike said he hopes to cross paths again with you soon, Daniel. You're one of the best in the field.
Thanks, Mike. You're not too shabby yourself. I always like investigating with Mike.
He said he has actually sang in location. So Steve said, as far as you know, do all the spirits get along with each other at the Hinsdale House? Is this something that you have ever witnessed?
So there's this one bastard darker entity that's in the house. When it starts to come around, the energy kind of changes in the room. You can feel it. It makes you tired. It makes you feel suppressed. And all the other entities that were communicating at one point stopped communicating, and it's only all of a sudden you start getting squared at, telling you to leave, things like that. And that's the only one. That's the only one that asshole of a spirit that comes out that tries to stop the communication, that when we're communicating with other entities that are there. And I usually recommend for teams, like when that happens, if it does happen, to get up and walk out and wait maybe a half hour or an hour, and maybe investigate on the outside of the house and let nature take its course, and then come back in. And usually it's away. When you don't give it attention, it tends to leave, so. But if you start acknowledging it and antagonizing it or trying to talk to it, you'll get some really good feedback from that, for sure.
That you setting them outside, the centering and grounding that they end up doing alone by being outside alone, like you said, nature taking its course. Take your cleanses you, basically. Yeah. Yep. I do that all the time. I hate wearing shoes.
Unless it's snowing out, of course.
I will never live anywhere it snows. So, Tom McNicholas said, "Hope to see Daniel in Ohio in May." What do you have going on in Ohio in May?
I don't know. I have a lot of events planned though.
I'll let you plug those at the end.
I don't think I have. I don't think I'm in Ohio in May though. I don't think I am. Maybe I am. I don't know. I mean, I literally look at what do I have coming up next, and I plug those events, and then I plug the next one, and I plug the next one. What's ever on my calendar. So
yeah, you're a busy bee. Let's see. Mike Simpson said, I agree. You should never go to a location mad, angry, or in a bad state of mind, so to speak, because the spirits of the location will feed on it. Yep. Exactamundo.
Mm-hmm.
Laura says, hi. Hello, Laura.
Don't forget what Darin said. That's Ryback. Darin knew what was up.
That is Ryback.
He knew what was up when I said that.
Hello, Laura. Okay. Erin said Lauren Dandy needs more attention. The lady who owned the house?
Huh? No, Laura was one of the daughters of the Dandy family. That she ended up committing suicide. Again, it's a touchy subject. to respect the family, you know. But we have thought that we've captured pictures of her there, and that she does come back to the house. When I interviewed Clara this past spring, I asked her, why would Laura want to go back to that house if it tormented her? And she goes, I know why, but she wouldn't tell me why. So I think
still a
Clara,
mystery.
yeah.
Let's see, give me 1 second, because I still have the questions to ask you about ghost finders, but I don't want to push our time limit. I'm going to ask if anybody has any other questions before we move on real quick. And then we'll wrap it up. See, so I was not expecting that out of you. I mean, I've followed you for a while, but didn't know that you were as, I guess, grounded as you are, or as soft as you are. You're like a teddy bear.
I try. I don't know. I feel like the way that you respond to things is what you're going to get back in return. So
yep, the threefold law.
Exactly.
Kyle Merriman says, hi, Media Network, how are you? Nice to meet you. And shout out to me very good mate, Daniel Klaes.
Kyle's been a good friend of mine for years when I was doing my own podcast, and he's come to the Hinsdale House a couple of times, and we've hung out. His family's from Ireland. He lives in Canada. Shout out to you, mate. Thanks for tuning in. It's always good to see you.
Darin said, I hope you come to Wisconsin soon.
I'd love to.
I was about to say, but he doesn't even know where he's going, so you gotta wait.
I'm going anywhere between California to Texas to New York to Florida this year.
You were just down the street from me a few days ago.
My next event is the Twisted Waters Cruise, which I'm super excited about because I'm bringing my whole family, the Twisted Paranormal Society, and we're taking a Caribbean cruise and investigating in Nassau together, which is going to be fun.
That is going to be amazing.
Yeah.
I probably would have ended up going had I not just had the baby. Because when I first saw it, I was like, hell yeah. And then I found out I was pregnant. I was like, oh, but I wouldn't trade him in the world for anything.
We're doing a cruise with the Ghost Finders in October for Halloween. So I'll be posting about that soon. I just until this cruise happens, I don't want to really push that cruise until this one actually physically happens. So try to be respectful to everybody that books me, you know.
Yeah, that's smart though. You don't want to overload, especially because if you do it this early, people might forget.
Yeah.
Tom said he met Daniel many times and he always takes the time to talk and listen to you. He's very personable.
I try. I mean, you give what you put into things, right? Tom's a good dude.
Let's see. Chris Sanders said he'll be there Saturday.
Finally.
And
Chris has been saying he's coming for years. If he actually makes it there, I'll be surprised.
Steve White said somebody needs to investigate Helltown, Ohio. And then Laura said, come to Wayne Holmes and Ashland counties of Ohio.
I think that Steve needs to get a call us all and have a team put together, and we'll all come and do it. You set it up, Steve, and we'll come. You build it, and we will come.
He doesn't mean an actual baseball field.
No, just find us a general meeting spot and we'll all go investigate.
That's part of what we were trying to do for the Paranormal Summit that Sandy Wells was trying to put together, was find a central location in the U.S. and just have all teams. Like nobody's like a guest speaker, nobody's anything. It's just a shit ton of teams from across the country, everybody coming together to investigate together in like one spot, like go off into teams and do certain locations and then switch off. That would be really fun. Again, seeing a little bit of what everybody has to offer and seeing how you can play off of or build off of that, and like I said, hone the skill or hone a craft to where it's irrefutable.
That's kind of like my favorite thing to do. Like I often get booked at events and then like, okay, you're going to lead the tour, and it's like, and I have teams there that are probably investigated the location 100 times more than I have. And I have, it's my techniques, but I often open it up to them and see what they have to offer, or listen to their stories. I mean, it's just, I'm not any better than anybody else doing it. I have some ways that I do things, and I love just watching other teams investigate and learning from them, and participating and working together. And it makes it, when we all do that, it makes for a fun tour, and it makes for a good tour, when you can work together with everything.
Oh, I absolutely agree with that, especially because, let's see, when you have that many people cooperating, and just imagine like how much more you'd get done too. I think that's only
Collective
like
consciousness.
yep. And it's more relieving to me to have a group of people to do that with, because I only had another investigator for maybe like 4 of the investigations that I had done when I first started, and I've been by myself for forever. And so I don't know if it's just because I'm getting old or getting lazy, but having to set up everything by myself or do everything on my own is getting tiring. I'd like help. I'd also like somebody to talk to. Like when I'm not talking for like 2 seconds, it drives me nuts. So imagine I'm talking to the spirits and whatever, but I'd like to get a response back that's not through a spirit box or an EVP or somebody like slamming a door every so often. I just want to hear another voice.
There you go. Yeah, it's good. For sure.
Tom said he thought you were going to the Mansfield Reformatory in May.
Oh no, I'm not booked at that event this year. I was at that event last year. So I know I'll be, which this is an event that you should go to, Tom. The New Jersey Para-Unity Expo. That's an awesome, world-class event with tons of people, lots of outreach, VIP parties, lots of mingling and getting to know everybody. It's just a really fun event. And I've been going to that one. This will be like my 5th year, which I think it's the 13th, 14th, 15th, that weekend of May. But yeah, the Ohio State Reformatory, I wasn't booked at it this year, but maybe next year. It's good to rotate things around and get new faces and new blood, and see the same people every year,
Yeah, the eclectic mix of, I like the ones that have like witches and psychics, and
Yeah.
then cryptid hunters, and a
You mean
MUFON expert from.
You mean like the Ghost Finders team?
Yes, you guys have a witch. You guys
We do.
have
And
you
psychic
a
medium from
paranormal.
England.
Yep. And you have you as a paranormal investigator. So yeah, I love the broad horizons of everything kind of paranormal. That's why I try and do my show with a little bit of everyone. Because if it's weird, I like it. Let's see. Steve White said, sorry, one last question. What are the hours of the Hinsdale House? When I first started.
The hours?
When it first started, yes.
What do you... I'm confused by the question. Like, when do we open up for people, or? Because it's...
Oh, disregard those last few words. Just curious about the hours. So what are the hours?
So again, I'm pretty flexible. I say like check in at 7, but if a team is driving in from California or something, or they got an early flight, nobody's there. So if you come early and you just let me know, we'll get there early and open the doors for you, and you get more time. So it's just kind of when you're just keep it in contact when you're going to get there. We let you in and then go over the rules and have you sign off on the waivers, and you get the keys, and then you have that location on the land, the property till the next day. So it's you just got
like an Airbnb.
It is like an Airbnb, except you get me or one of my staff to check in. That's all. At the beginning.
Andrew Hilton said, I'd love to get that summit underway. There's a few good areas. Just the cost is a hurdle. Yeah, because we had pretty much put together a preliminary plan for it, and then it came to be a cost issue because you don't know if everybody's going to be able to make it. The people who can't drive halfway across, because even when you try and make it a middle ground, you still have people who are going to end up traveling way farther than others. You didn't know if we were going to have the money to be reimbursed for renting out all of these halls, because you want to expect a lot of people, but then 12 show up, you're pretty boo-food.
Well, the thing
Joe's,
is you could always book one hall and then add more if you need to.
yeah.
If the ticket sales are going well.
I think the problem with that location too, though, was that they were so small and there weren't very many other venues to open. So it would have been, if it was the opposite too, that if a lot of people do come, where the hell are we going to put them all? And then we try to look at the bigger
Well,
areas, and there was
and
like
ideally
even
with something
more.
like that too, if you wanted to do it yearly, you could have the summit in different locations every year. So teams that couldn't make it that far maybe could come the next year, like northeast, southwest, southeast,
That was
northwest.
exactly what she wanted to do.
Yeah, I
She
mean
had a
that would
lot
be.
of great ideas for it. It just never went through, but it sounded like it was going to be a blast. Joe says he's an independent investigator, so I do investigate alone a lot. When I do have other people with me, sometimes I wish I was just alone. That's because you're a butt face, Joe. We still love you. It's okay though. I would still like to visit the Hinsdale House in the near future, said Tom. All the information actually I just posted, so you guys can go to the Facebook for Hinsdale House, the actual website. You guys can also go to the website for Ghost Finders and the Facebook page for Ghost Finders and Daniel's personal team that he has going out of New York. Before we end, I do have a few questions to ask you about Ghost Finders, and then I
Sure.
promise I'll let you go.
It's okay.
So Ghost Finders is, I believe it was quite a few seasons before you ended up on it, correct? Or have you been with it from the beginning?
No, this will be my first full season. They've been doing independent. It's the longest running independent ghost hunting show. So they've done 10 seasons. So I participated in season 9, and then I was asked to join the cast for season 10. And we're also doing a special project for TV, which is we don't have a name for it yet, but we're calling it the Ghost Finders 2.0. And we're filming, kind of be filming in locations and really diving into the cities, kind of like a Ghost of Shepherdstown type of thing, except different, because we're looking at the folklores of the cities and trying to dive into the legends around what's going on. So it's going to be interesting. And we're filming that starting in June, and then also starting filming season 10 in April. Which it runs on VidiSpace and Amazon Prime, and it's fun. I said to myself I never wanted to join a team again. I have my own team, and then when Rob and his team came to the Hinsdale House to film. And I got to see how they did things, and they were so eclectic and different with their approaches, and open to trying new things. I don't know. And then he invited me on an investigation as a guest, and we just got along so well. It was like I ended up being like a brother from another mother type thing. And Megan's just amazing. I applaud her being a witch. To even want to get on a pedestal and showcase that, because it's so taboo with people. And it's beautiful. It's beautiful what she does, and I hope that it sheds a light on what witches do nowadays. It's not, evil flying around in a broom type crap. It's mending and healing and a lot of other things that Megan really showcases well when she's not only is she beautiful, but she showcases her talents on the show, which is amazing. So it's different.
It's very different from what you would get with any other shows that you have out with ghosts, because it's a bit repetitive at a certain point when you have the same types of personalities going into the same types of places. I understand for the entertainment value, you want the jump scares and you want the overreactions and stuff like that. But I think those are the people who don't actually do it, as a hobby or into it, or take it as serious as we do. It's people who just want those jump scares. But for actual investigators, watching people go in time and time again with that type of attitude and that type of approach to it, it gets tiring after a while to see what you guys do.
If you took polls with paranormal investigators, actual paranormal investigators, and you took polls of people that watch TV shows, you'd probably get 360 in answers.
Mm-hmm. Because I actually started watching a few of the episodes after you said, can we talk about the Ghost Finders show? I had no idea you were on it. until you said something. So I started watching, that way I could kind of do my homework. And just like you said, the variations of approaches that you guys take, because it's not all the same. You know, as a witch, she has a more, I guess, genuine connection with those spirits and those energies, and the way she conducts herself around those locations. Whereas you're way more scientific about it. She's like the earthy side, and you're more scientific about it. And, you know, having a medium adds to that. So you have literally all the different tiers covered.
And when something that I pick up is something that she picks up, that's something that Rob picks up, and it's just like so compelling to me, like to see on 3 different levels of us coming up with similar things, but in different aspects. You know, it's really cool.
Kyle said Dan is a very down-to-earth man, highly knowledgeable paranormal investigator. His methods, in my opinion, is one of the best. Always a huge team player. Dan will bring a new era into investigating and finding answers to the unknown.
We try. Kyle's part of it. Everybody's part of it.
Laura is asking what team you're on.
So my hometown team here in New York is the Greater Western New York Paranormal Society. And then the team that I'm working with for the TV show is called the Ghost Finders. I also I do my own show too on Viddy Space and Amazon Prime called Within These Walls. I've filmed 2 seasons of that, and they're in production right now. Some of the episodes are up on Amazon Prime, but my main goal with that show is we were going to do a live 1-hour episode at different locations across the United States. And I know that every time we go to a location for 1 hour filming it live, we're not going to get evidence. So my main goal of the show was to put locations on a pedestal to promote them and tell some of the stories of the locations and what people might expect when they come there. And if something happens, great. If it doesn't, at least we're promoting the locations, and people can actually see what maybe a little taste of what a real paranormal investigation looks like live, you know? So that's kind of my premise for that show. And that's on Amazon Prime, Viddy Space right now too.
That's why I like doing live investigation streams, because it has to be completely in the moment. And I like that feeling more than when I'm just, and I think again, though, it's because people talk to me when I'm doing live or like ask questions. Mm-hmm. So I technically get to talk back to something. I'm telling you, I don't like being quiet. So like me being by myself all night, which is, the 8 to 12 hour stretches in one location by yourself with no one to talk to drives me nuts. Darin said he's got to run. It was nice talking to you guys. Have a great night and the rest of the week. Y'all too.
Totally.
I already put all of the different links in here for all of the shows, all of the different websites for Hinsdale House, both the Facebook pages, actually all 3 of the Facebook pages, because I did one for the Greater West New York Paranormal Society as well. I have all of that. So if you guys want to check out anything he's been talking about tonight, you can go ahead and go click on any of those links and you'll find whatever you're looking for, I believe. Do you have anything that you would like to plug? Any events coming up that you're going to be attending?
Yeah, well, I mean, there's one in Texas coming up in April, on April 18th at the Old Park Hotel in Ballinger, Texas. It's me and Brandy Green from Ghost Hunters International.
I'm so mad at you.
We're doing an overnight tour there that night. So we have like 6 tickets left, I think, 6 or 7 tickets left. So if anybody wants to join us in Texas, that's going to be fun. Madison, the 20th is sold out already. So we're doing an investigation with Madison on March 20th at Hinsdale House. But I mean, again, just look at that's going to be a fun one in Texas in April. I'm doing one with Sherry D. Benedetti at the Hinsdale House too. And then that one's up for sale now too. We're doing a Friday and Saturday event with her. Yeah, I mean, it's my mind boggles when I try to think of everything I have going on with my family, and then paranormal stuff, and then the conventions, and finishing books, and all this other stuff I got going on. It's crazy. So
I was actually going to buy tickets for the Old Ballinger Park Hotel hunt, because that's one of the first things that comes up on my page, because I follow them and Dan. Mm-hmm. And maybe like 2 weeks after I decided that I finally wanted to go, I got reached out to by George Jones, who runs the Tyler Paranormal Conference, and he asked me to be a guest speaker
Hey,
for this year's thing.
that's
So,
awesome.
and it's on April 18th though. So yeah, I was like, oh, I'll catch. He'll be in the area again some other time. But that hotel is one of my big ones to
Yeah.
get done here in Texas. Yes, but it's so far. I mean, I know it's even farther for you, but
Yeah, I mean, I not only do I have to fly to Texas, and I think I got to drive like 3.5 hours to get there. So
yes, because it's in the middle of BFE.
that's all right.
Um,
That'll be fun.
yes, it will. I've heard a lot of good things about that place. Um, Everybody else is saying good night because we're about to wrap it up. Thank you so much for being on the show tonight. It was very nice to get to know that side of you and to learn so much more about the Hinsdale House. You know, having seen it everywhere on people's live streams or just from their YouTube channel videos and stuff, hearing about it personally makes a lot of difference into how you feel about that place now, or how I feel about it at least.
Yeah, thanks for having me. It was awesome. Fun
Of
show.
course. Thank you very much. Everybody who tuned in, thank you so much for watching. And remember, if you want to discover the secrets to the universe, think in terms of energy, frequency, and vibration, and y'all have an amazing night.